he'll come in Omote no Ki, for example, I will block his draw, his no Ki. Okay, so from here, once I stroke, I will proceed by locking his hand, his wrist. Okay, so I have this form of leverage here. Now, once I am pulling, I will proceed to a gaeshi or a kaeshi movement. That is, I will bring him violently, and at the same time that he is coming, I will overload, in this case, his elbow. So this is what's going to happen very slowly. So there is no way I have, of course, stopped the movement. I have just settled my body down. So he came, and this was the overloaded part of his body. Okay. Of course, that if I had pulled more violently and stood down, also roughly, he would have had probably an injury on his elbow. Okay. So from here we can see his hand is also on a very fragile position. Okay. So there are many things we could proceed in this method. First of all, is coming from extremities to the center of his body. That is, for example, I could first of all lock his body so he cannot fall down and settle with the movement. Then from here I could, for example, cause damage to the wrist, also to the elbow. Okay, in this direction. I could also from here bring him a bit more and then attack humerus and acromion, okay, by entering violently, which I won't do, but you can imagine how this would be by pressing inward. Okay, I could also overload his joint, his humerus joint, like this, and proceed. So there is a very rough movement on his humerus joint again. Okay, and once I have this his arm restrained and under great pain by this pressure, there are many things we could do. First of all, note that as a torite, as a study inside torite and jujutsu, he is laying down, so he cannot draw any weapon anymore. I can see both his hands. So besides the classical movements of jujutsu involving knee, head, and all, even parts of his body, I could also, for example, simply bring him as I'm here, press head violently, or also just by sitting, having positions in which he simply couldn't take away, he simply couldn't move. I could proceed to any form of tying movements, of knots. You can see that biomechanically speaking, I am allowing my scapula to be high, my shoulder is high. This is on purpose, because if I just by less than 1 inch press this downward, it would harm his elbow. It would be actually a great deal, since his tendons are already stretched to the most and his joint is also to the limit. Okay, so thank you very much. Let's see some brief examples of what was this method based on. He attacks me as he wishes. So he's here, he's locking me so I cannot move. So what I first must do is find an angle in which I can draw my tanto, my knife. It could be actually any cutting object, any blade, okay? But as I am cutting, I am also hooking, so he cannot take his arm away easily, and this is done actually in a faster time. So once I'm here, whenever I take his arm out, I am at the same time creating a configuration or a scenario in which I can pierce. Now let's say he blocked. Let's say he could see and he blocked my attack. Now once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook his hand, his arm, and then as I am bringing violently, I'm also entering, so I'm cutting. As I'm cutting, I'm one more time hooking his neck at this time, and then as I'm bringing him down, I am cutting the lateral veins through which blood goes to the brain. So it's a very dangerous situation. So as I'm cutting again, he tries anything he wants. Those are actually free forms. So instead of cutting on the outer side of the arm, I will just find my way through the inner part of his arm, so I can cut and pierce on the armpit. Okay? Once I'm here, he tries anything he wishes. Again, once I'm already here, cutting arm, piercing on neck. Once again, I'm taking my distance from him. At the same time, he cannot get away. So once again, armpit, okay, and using the hook. Whether with the knife itself, for example, once I'm here, okay, he has to protect his kidneys, which are right here. If he tries to protect his kidneys, I have cut the front part of his body, his abdomen on a higher position, right here. Then once again he tries to come, and once again I'm here. I am cutting, I'm entering, he blocks. If he doesn't block, we'll go through his neck, his throat, his face. Okay, so once he blocks, I'm already here cutting. Remember the internal parts of his arm. As I'm here, I am once again hooking, piercing ribs. Okay, as I'm piercing ribs, I am already on his back, so he can't actually see. And again, once I have hooked, piercing armpit, piercing through the soft tissues of biceps, of muscles, so he cannot use his arms for this kind of pulling mechanism anymore. And once I'm here, using the hook again, breaking ribs or the sternum bone and piercing violently. Let's see it here. Just remembering that Shizen people, once we are here, it is a practice of ancient life and death situations using a knife, piercing using this kind of impact mechanism. So even actually this came from the need regarding the situation in which the enemy, the samurai, was wearing yoroi. So very often, although he could be strong, this wouldn't pierce thoroughly. But if this happens, okay, if this happens, perforation was almost certain. Okay, so let's see one more, 3 examples. Now let's allow him to have. Ask him to attack any way he wishes, because one would say, well, this is not fair, because I have a blade, he does not. But this kind of method, well, can be used with any kind of weapon or situation. It's just a method. We just saw it when he had a shinken, or a yaito, I mean, a large blade, a katana. So he attacks as he wishes. Now, as I'm entering, I am hooking already, okay? Now I'm cutting. I'm taking my arm out so he cannot cut me, and then once again he tries to come. Não. Olha essa parte aqui. Cortar aqui, eu vou seguir. Só evite ataques fora, por favor, okay? So now let's see. Although it seems it's not fair, this is a method and can be used on any situation. So as the same way that he was just using a katana, right now he has a tanto at his hands. An extremely dangerous weapon. So let's say as he's here, say as I'm entering, trying to reach for a breach on his guard, now he held me, okay? Very strong, and he will try to cut my hand. So what I have to do is, once again, cut and make him defend, obligate him a defense. Now, as I'm here using the bottom, or say the kashira, of the tanto, right here I can use this. So now in this position, what I have done is, if he tries to take his arm violently, very in just one rough movement, tanto gets in him, inside, and it pierces him. Well, so these are some brief explanations about the method of kaigiri. that we just saw part of the Shizen culture, and of course this is an anthropological view, a broad view we can say about this method, but let's see, it is something that suited for that time, for that period of time, and obviously if one would use this for the current world and the current situations, one would have to shape it, to think this over, and maybe adapt a piece here and a piece that, and a piece there of this method. Okay? Thank you very much.